Prince Louis, the cheekiest member of the royal family, has a knack for capturing attention wherever he goes. At just 6 years old, his playful energy and unfiltered honesty have made him a fan favorite. However, during a Christmas gathering hosted by Princess Kate, Elsa's innocent comment about Queen Camilla sparked a moment of unexpected drama that left the nation talking as the family navigated this rare crack in their polished facade. Questions about Louis's relationship with Camilla and the family's dynamic began to surface. Could this single moment hint at deeper complexities within the royal household, or was it simply the candid nature of a young boy unafraid to speak his truth? People have always been interested in Prince Louis, the youngest member of the Wales family, because of his cheeky grin and naughty behavior from the moment he was born. Louis seemed meant to make everyone he met happy. His birth on April 23, 2018 at St. Mary's Hospital in London on a sunny spring morning was met with the kind of excitement that could only come from a royal birth. Gun salutes could be heard all over the city, church bells tolled, and people all over the country fell in love with the newest member of the House of Windsor. Prince William and Princess Kate thought a lot about what to name him. Lou Arthur Charles paid tribute to both his grandpa, who is now King Charles III, and the late Louis Mountbatten, who had a big impact in royal history. Nobody knew how much personality the boy would bring to the name, even though it had a long history. Even during his naming on July 9, 2018, early signs of who he was became clear. It was a very royal event that took place at the Chapel Royal in St. James's Palace. George and Charlotte, Lou's older siblings, stood proudly next to him. You could already see how close they were becoming as siblings. The family photos from that day were very sweet and showed a warmth that people who follow the royal family have come to admire. It became clear as Louis grew up that he wasn't one to blend in. His first times in public were truly unforgettable. When Trooping the Colour happened in 2019, Louis waved with pure joy from the balcony of Buckingham Palace. His big hands and wide eyes made him the star of the show right away, showing that even the tiniest royals can be in charge. People liked him because of times like these, which led to his growing image as the most naughty member of the family. At home, life was a mix of royal rules and being close to family. During his early years, he lived at Kensington Palace and Anmar Hall, where William and Kate worked hard to keep things normal and duty-bound. Little things made Louis' days happy, like playing outside with his siblings, gardening and baking. As a result of Kate's caring parenting style, her children had as normal of an education as possible, even though they were royal. These were the years when his relationship with George and Charlotte grew stronger. George, who was the oldest and would become king, was more quiet and calm most of the time. Charlotte, on the other hand, became the big sister in charge. Charlotte did a great job in her role, whether she was guiding Louis during public events or dealing with his antics with the patience of someone much older than her. But Lou's lively nature often led to playful conflicts with his siblings. In a memorable moment, he tried to blow out Charlotte's candle during a Christmas service, which made her very angry but had everyone else laughing. Beginning to go to Wilcox's school in 2021 was a big step in Lou's young life. When it came to school, pictures of him on his first day showed him smiling with joy, his small backpack slung over his shoulders. That moment perfectly showed his curiosity and readiness to try new things. However, life in the Wales household wasn't always easy. As famous people, they had to deal with the stresses of royal life while keeping their kids from being too closely watched. By 2022, things had changed for the family. When they moved to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor, they had more room and privacy for their growing kids. At this point, Louis moved on to Lamr Shulan Elite Prep School in Berkshire, where he joined George and Charlotte. The move marked the start of a new chapter in their lives, influencing their schooling and sibling bonds in a more secluded setting. Even though Louis brought a lot of happiness and charm to his family, there was always something intriguing about his interactions with Queen Camilla. People who saw the young prince and his step-grandmother couldn't help but notice that they weren't very close. Lou seemed closer to his maternal grandparents Carol and Michael Middleton, and even to his grandfather King Charles. However, his relationship with Camilla seemed less clear. Was it just because they didn't get to talk much because they had different schedules, or was there more to the story? Public performances didn't give us much information. Louis was seen being gently led along the path on one meable Christmas Day walk from Sandringham to church. People who follow the royal family were curious about how they felt about each other after that brief moment of connection. Louis usually showed a lot of love for other people, so this exchange felt tame in comparison. Even with these small changes, Louis's growing personality and charm kept winning people over. His animated faces at the events for Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee in 2022 went viral on the internet right away. He showed that royal tasks could still be fun by making funny faces and Moving around in a playful way, his mix of mischief and cute innocence made him stand out even in the Windsor family, which was very well known. People were interested in Louis for more than just his pranks. Not only did people like his charm, but they also liked how honest he was, which was rare for someone so young in the royal family. Even though this person was honest and cute, it would eventually lead to a shocking moment that everyone in the country will never forget. There was no doubt that Prince Louis was a one-of-a-kind member of the royal family. At this point he mixed history with his own unique style. He had a unique mix of royal traditions and a pretty normal youth because his parents Prince William and Princess Kate made choices that made it that way. Louis spent a lot of his early years living with his family at Kensington Palace. There he experienced both structured and unrestrained fun. Louis had a lively personal that came through whether he was chasing his older siblings around the palace grounds or doing activities with them outside. Kate Middleton, who is known for being a hands-on mom, often talked about how much her kids loved simple things like baking, farming, and exploring nature. Louis loved these times because they made him happy and gave him a chance to show how energetic and interested he was in Hull in Norfolk, where the family went on vacation, gave the kids even more chances to grow up away from the public eye. Set acres of farmland, it became a safe place for Louis to be as loud and lively as he pleased, which would soon become his trademark as a royal child. Though there were also some things that could go wrong. Since Louis was the youngest, he was always the center of attention, even when he didn't want to be. George and Charlotte, his bigger siblings, were very good at being older siblings. Charlotte in particular was often seen guiding Louis when he went out in public, taking his hand to make sure he followed royal rules. Charlotte was always there to help, but she also knew how to let Lou be Louis, a playful little brother who loved to tease and surprise her. Even though George, the oldest and future king, was more shy, he couldn't help because he was straightforward and honest. It was only a matter of time before his lively personality clashed with the complicated lives of royal families, creating a moment that would go down in history and captivate the whole country. Prince Louis continued to grow into his place as the youngest and most active member of the royal family. As 2023 went on, due to his advanced age, he only made a few public visits a year, but everyone looked forward to each one. People knew that Lou would do something unexpected, like make a cheeky move, show his true feelings without any filters, or have an honest moment that set him apart from his more calm brothers. But as his personality became more clear, minor details about how he interacted with some family members, especially Queen Camilla, became more and more interesting over the years. Camilla, who is now queen consort, had earned her place in the royal family. Going from being a controversial figure to being looked up to by most people wasn't easy, but in the family, close friends and family, her ties seemed more complicated, especially with Prince William and his kids. While George and Charlotte were usually friendly and welcoming to her when they were in public, Lou's behavior seemed more random. Many people were interested in whether this was because he was naturally honest or because of something deeper. One thing was clear: Lou's relationships with other family members were very different from the ones he had with Camilla. For example, he had a very loving bond with King Charles III. Charles was famous for his love of nature and telling stories. He spent a lot of time with his grandkids and taught them about protecting the environment or told them stories from royal history. Louis, who had a lot of energy and a mind that was always wondering, seemed to enjoy these encounters. Pics and stories of their time together showed a grandpa who loved and cared for his active grandson. Camilla's role in Lou's life, on the other hand, seemed less important. People who saw them said that rarely showed love in public, and when they did, it felt more like a business deal than a family reunion. It wasn't something that anyone in the family said out loud, but it was hard to miss the difference. Camilla's quiet personality and Lou's outgoing personality made it clear that they didn't get along. It wasn't just Camilla and Louis who were talked about a lot. A lot of it was caused by the long-lasting bad blood between William and Camilla. Even though they were polite in public, people who knew them well often hint at how complicated their relationship really was. William had a lot of thoughts about his mother, Princess Diana. Diana's rough marriage to Charles and Camilla's part in it were wounds that had never fully healed. William had learned to get along with Camilla, but their conversations often seemed more like they were doing what they had to do than being friendly. Louis was still too young to fully understand how important this family pasted was, but the energy he felt around him probably affected how he behaved. Children have an knack for picking up on stresses that aren't said, and Lou's honesty made it hard for him to hide how he felt. Soon his honesty would lead to a shocking and telling moment that put his relationship with Camilla and the way the royal family works in the spotlight. The moment came while the family was celebrating Christmas in December 2023. Every year Princess Kate hosts the Together at Christmas Carol service, which is a celebration of love, thanks, and the spirit of giving senior royals close family friends and people from the community all came to the event at Westminster Abbey. When the kindness tree was brought out during the evening, it made the celebrations feel more personal. People who came were asked to write sincere notes to the tree to thank someone who had made a difference in their lives over the years. For the kids in Wales, this exercise was both fun and important. George and Charlotte, who were always so calm, carefully wrote down their notes and carried them in a stealthy way. The messages were safe because the blank side of their cards was facing outward. Louis, on the other hand, didn't feel that way. As the family walked into the Abbey, he happily showed off his card in the way that he always does. The happiness on his face showed that he was a part of such a special moment. It was both sweet and telling. What was written on Lou's card? He wrote it in a cute shaky hand. "You for Granny and Grandpa because they played games with me." The connection was to his maternal grandparents Carol and Michael Middleton. They were known for having a close relationship with the Wales children for a long time. People all over the country smiled and felt warm feelings about what was said. Even though the note was sweet, it was easy to see what it meant. People in the room raised their eyes when Queen Camilla wasn't mentioned at all. It could have been written off as the careless mistake of a young child, but when Louis was jokingly asked why Camilla wasn't on his list, the situation became more serious. Louis answered straight away and honestly in a way that only a 6-year-old could. She's the words seemed to float in the air, and the formal but happy atmosphere made them even more powerful. In that brief moment, Kate and William's smiles broke and their faces showed a mix of surprise and uneasiness. Camilla stopped talking in the middle of a sentence while she was talking to someone a few feet away. Ash looked at the young prince. She had a strange tight smile on her face, but it was clear that she was upset. Louis, who had no idea what he was doing, went on and on with the sincerity of a child who just couldn't hold a thought in. "She said she would play games with me, but when I went to her room she yelled at me to leave because I was bothering her." The room had been full of the quiet hum of conversations and songs moments before, but now it felt like it could not be still. Kate got down on her knees next to Louis, put a gentle hand on his shoulder and whispered something quietly. Her maternal instincts kicked in to calm things down. William, who was standing stiffly next to her, gave Camilla a quick telling look. The look on his face was hard to read, a mix of shock and maybe a hint of anger. Camilla quickly picked up where she left off with her talk, but her mood had changed. The queen consort, who usually stays calm under pressure, looked tense right now. Even though it was only a moment, it changed the evening for Vera. Few people had heard about what happened by the next morning. Something that began as a harmless family custom turned into a royal show, and Louis's words caused a lot of people to wonder what was going on. The media, which is always interested in the royal family's private lives, broke down every part of the conversation from Lou's tone to Camilla's response. People found the event both shocking and strangely familiar. That was a warning that a child's honest words could break the rules of behavior even in the most formal and controlled settings. It was a turning point for the royal family. They had to face not only how other people saw their relationships but also the forces that had shaped them. The Christmas carol service at Westminster Abbey has always been an important part of royal custom. It is a mix of formality and holiday warmth. Princess Kate held the big event, which showed the royal family at their most gracious and unite us, a way to celebrate the holiday season with soft candlelight and holiday decorations. The Abbey created a mood of spare joy in the royal spotlight. Even though it encouraged being real, it wasn't easy to find a balance between a child's natural honesty and social norms, and this event showed how delicate that balance could be. One thing that William had to deal with was different. His relationship with Camilla seemed polite and professional on the outside, but it had always been shaped by the memory of his mother. He still felt Princess Diana's impact in his life, and he tried to teach his own children her values of honesty, kindness and emotional openness. But the conflict between remembering his mother and keeping the peace in the current royal system made his relationship with Camilla more complicated. Even though they didn't say it, as soon as the new year started, the royal family turned their attention to their tasks. Public engagements and appearances took up most of their time. This meant that King Charles III and Queen Camilla had to keep strengthening their roles as ruler and consort, which required them to show that they were stable and united. Camilla had been put to the test before when she had to deal with public criticism, and this time was no different. Insiders said she stayed calm, but there were hints that she wanted to close the gap between herself and William's children, including Louis. The Middletons also played a big part in getting through the fallout. Carol and Michael Middleton, who were very important in Lou's life, gave him the support he needed at those times. Their home in Bucklebury, which was called A safe haven for the whale's children gave Lou a normal life away from the big events of the royal family. Activities like baking cookies, going for walks in the country, and playing simple family games made Louis feel safe and like he belonged. The event became a moment of relatability for the people. People from all walks of life connected with Lou and filtered honesty. It served as a lesson that even the most carefully curated lives can be affected by honest statements of truth. People all over social media praised the young prince for being brave, and many said that Kate and William should be proud of having kids who aren't afraid to say what they think. But it also started new talks about Princess Diana's legacy and how her memories still affected the way the family worked. People also thought about the monarchy in a larger way after the event. People are looking for more openness and honesty from institutions around the world, and Lou's comment, even though it wasn't meant to, seem to show exactly what people want in their leaders. People often think of the royal family as distant and unapproachable. Bhutto's 6-year-old simple words made them seem more human. For people who support the monarchy, it was a victory that showed how the institution is changing. Critics saw it as a reminder of how hard it can be for a family to find a balance between custom and modernity. For Louis, life quickly went back to how it was before. He spent his days at school, on family trips, and enjoying the easy things that kids love. He probably didn't remember what happened at Christmas. It was just a brief moment in a life full of wonder and excitement. Still, his place in the family was still different. Louis was the youngest of the Wales siblings. He brought a lot of energy and honesty to the family, which complemented George's calm personality and Charlotte's caring nature. Between them, the three brothers made up a new generation of royals. Each had their own unique traits and added to the family's history. Lou's place in the royal family is likely to stay the same in the future because he is honest, whether it's through his funny pranks at public events or his honest moments out of the blue. He has already made a name for himself as a person who draws people in and wants to connect with them. Being able to be himself without any shame, even in the most formal situations, says that he might be able to bring a new point of view to the monarchy as it moves forward. Even though the Christmas surprise only lasted a moment, it had a huge effect on many people. It reminded the royal family and everyone else that behind the titles and customs are real people who have to deal with feelings, expectations, and relationships just like everyone else. At the center of it all was a young prince whose honesty, far from being a flaw, became a sign of realness in a world that often puts more value on looks than on truth. That's the end of today's video. If you've made it this far, be sure to watch more videos on the channel. Honest comment had spread, leading to a lot of discussion in the news. The headlines went from Prince Lou Christmas honesty leaves royals in stitches to what Prince Lou words reveal about Camilla's role in the royal family, which was meant to be a joke for the public. It was a rare and honest look into how one of the world's most watched families works. Not only did it matter what Louis said, but also what those words meant. Some saw it as a miracle of Camilla's complicated role in the family, which has been shaped by decades of history and ongoing tensions. Others saw it as the pure honesty of a young boy who was worried about royal procedures behind the palace walls. Though the damage was more complicated, even though Louis' comment probably wouldn't cause a direct flight, it did start a talk about how the family gets along with each other. It was clear that Camilla was queen consort, but it wasn't as clear how she knew William's children personally. Was Louis' comment just a simple mistake, or did it point to a bigger problem that needed to be dealt with? The situation made Kate and William realize how hard it can be to raise kids in public. Even though Louis's honesty was sweet, it reminded me of how unpredictable someone with such a lively personality could be. It also brought attention to the fine line they had to walk as parents, trying to keep their family's relationships real while also meeting the needs of a worldwide audience. The family kept up with their normal routines in the